Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video. Make sure you like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So finally, it's been a long 20 years, but the United States finally has left Afghanistan, and now the Taliban has seized control over Kabul, the capital city of the country of Afghanistan. Afghanistan is essentially no more, and now it's under control of the Taliban. And this is very interesting and consequential. Joe Biden finally making the decision to pull the troops out of Afghanistan once and for all. Why we should be a little skeptical of this, what is the real motive behind it? We have to look into that as well. But all in all, I have to say that I'm glad that Joe Biden did the right thing in terms of pulling troops out of Afghanistan. Like I said, we've been there for 20 years. We shouldn't have been there in the first place. We shouldn't have been there in the first place. Then when we went there, we should have pulled out after we got bin Laden. There was no reason for us to be there. Then Donald Trump had the intentions of pulling troops out, but he was lied to by his own Pentagon, and now he set a date that he wanted to get the troops to be removed this year. Biden did not follow that guideline, and he recklessly, essentially, pulled all the troops out of there without even getting the weapons. Those weapons were seized then by the Taliban, and the Taliban is now taking control of Afghanistan on their conquest of spreading their radical Islamic fundamentalism. Now, here's the deal. I don't really care what happens in Afghanistan. I really don't care what happens in their home country. In fact, the reason why all of these countries despise America so much is because America has been spearheading the globalist American empire vision for everything, where they essentially go into these countries and they spread transgender feminism, queer literature theory, or some nonsense, some ridiculous nonsense. That's what they're pushing on these other countries. That's what it's about. It's not so much that they're trying to push for freedom. Instead, what it is that they're trying to push for this teardown of religion, this teardown of culture, and they want to do it across the whole world. Now, I'm not defending the Taliban in any measured capacity, but I will say there's a lot of angry people out there because it's America's doing. America goes into these places, and that's why a lot of people get radicalized, and that is why a lot of people are joining these radical Islamic terrorist organizations, and it's backfiring on us. So honestly, I will have to say, one of the main reasons why there's this rise of the Taliban, why there's this instability, it is mainly because of the United States of America trying to push their vision of democracy, quote unquote, everywhere else in the world. And these other countries in particular, these are the places that really don't want it to happen. A lot of these places, we should be letting them do whatever they want, but apparently not. And a lot of people in these other countries are very angry with the United States of America as a result. And the truth is that the Taliban essentially had control over Afghanistan for a long time. We finally get there. We're there for 20 years. Nothing really happens. We finally leave, and then the day we leave, essentially the day that we leave, all of the progress is essentially gone that the United States made at supposedly protecting Afghanistan or whatever. And the problem with this is, if you're going to get into a war, you need to not get into a war you're going to lose. You need to go in, you need to wipe them out easily, and you need to leave. That is what America should have done in the Vietnam War. They didn't. They were there for a long time, and Saigon eventually fell, and South Vietnam was no more. Now, here's the deal with Afghanistan. We're there, we're fighting in an endless, pointless war. We don't fight to win the war, and eventually we leave. And then Kabul has fallen to the Taliban. The Afghan president is essentially in exile. He has fled the country. And now you see exactly what is going on. It is chaos. Now, this is not going to look good on Joe Biden. I mean, even CNN is criticizing Joe Biden right now as we speak. Biden's approval rating has been plummeting. It has been plummeting for months now. It is below 50% as we speak on RCP N538, and it is probably going to plummet even further because this was a botched operation. This was a failed operation because they didn't leave properly. That's the thing. And the neocons are going to hate him. Honestly, you may even have people on the left that are a little perturbed or upset with it, and a lot of the MAGA crowd and America First crowd are even sitting here saying, okay, what is he doing? It's just pure incompetence, unless there is a secret plan in the works to go back there, essentially, that the region will be further destabilized and it will lead towards another incentive to send more troops there, or Biden is just planning on taking the troops that were stationed in Afghanistan and then using them against Syria, against Iran, against Russia, potentially. And we don't want that to happen either, because he'd be bringing us into some more endless, senseless wars, and we just don't want to do it. We don't. Either way, given what has happened, you also may have a migrant crisis on our hands with people fleeing the Taliban rule. They will be going to Europe. They will be going to Canada. They will be going to the United States of America. And Biden will essentially have hundreds of thousands of voters that will pour in. And these people, they're refugees. Yes, refugees can vote, but eventually, if these people do become naturalized, as I'm sure the Democrat Party will make efforts to put that through, these people will be voting in our elections. And by and large, these people are going to assimilate to the microculture that is Islam in America, a community that overwhelmingly votes for the Democratic Party. Again, another power grab. More people that will be on government assistance, most likely. More people that will be voting for the Democrat Party. And yes, we know that we saw the opposite in Iraq. A lot of Iraqi Christians, many of them Assyrian and Chaldean, did come to America. Many of them settled around Metro Detroit, and a lot of them have been staunchly Republican. This is true. Without their votes, I don't know if Donald Trump would have won Michigan in 2016. But either way, those are Christians. These other voters will be Muslim. They don't exactly share the same culture. So you can see that there. Biden may be causing more instability, and then that obviously will happen. A lot of people are going to say that's a little outlandish of a theory and that Biden is too dumb for that to happen. He's not calculated. But you got to keep in mind, Biden's not entirely the only one making the decisions. I think a lot of people know that. I think even a lot of people on the left know and understand that Joe Biden is basically a figurehead, and it's not entirely Kamala Harris that's running the show. It's the entire globalist American empire. It's the entire bureaucracy that we have here that does everything possible to censor political dissidents. And everybody's going to say, oh, we need to fight we're abandoning the Afghan people. We need to be fighting for women's rights in Afghanistan. Why don't we fight for the rights of American conservatives, people that are literally deplatformed, people that have lost their livelihoods, essentially, to the system because they happen to have an opinion that is not approved by the regime. That is the problem that we have right now. It is the same thing with Cuba. It is the same thing with Afghanistan. You see the same exact thing happening in both places, And as a result, our bureaucracy grows stronger. The military-industrial complex grows stronger. Either way, this is probably a lose-lose, but the truth is we shouldn't have been in there in the first place. And yeah, I'm glad Biden pulled the troops out, but I'm not going to sit here and simp for Afghanistan and say that we need to be sending more troops in. However, I'm not going to sit here and simp for Joe Biden either and say that it was a good executed pullout of the troops, because it wasn't, because as you can see here, the enemy is essentially taken over Afghanistan once again. And it is funny to see. And also, keep this in mind, Democrats will then use this, and Republicans as well, because the establishment Republicans, they want to go back to warmongering. We see Dan Crenshaw simping for more intervention in Afghanistan on his Instagram story, on the TL. We see this constantly, and it really needs to stop. It does. We see this throughout. Dan Crenshaw and a lot of these other characters, they're no different from Mitt Romney. They're no different from John McCain. They're no different from George Bush. And now that Donald Trump is not in the White House, they want to go back to business as usual. And we see this throughout. And Democrats are probably happy about it as well, because they get to posture themselves as the anti-war party, even though that's still not technically true. Joe Biden has been a corporate warmonger his entire career. Just because he did one good thing very poorly does not mean that he is still not a corporatist warmonger, because he absolutely is. And obviously, there's likely some ulterior motive to this, given that this is not something that you would have expected the Biden administration, which has been launching airstrikes on Syria for months, to do. Obviously, we know this, but either way, it is a lose-lose, because now Biden is essentially getting blowback from a lot of the more establishmentarian members in his party. His approval rating is going to sink even further, and it's just another Saigon. It's another Bay of of pigs. It's a failed operation. Obviously, the intent is good, and what happens in Afghanistan is of no concern to me, but Joe Biden proved again that he is likely an incompetent fool unless there is some underlying strategy that Joe Biden probably isn't even aware of. And that's my take on this. Please like this video down below, comment your take down below, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.